Close your eyes for 1 second and imagine this. The sun is warm on your skin, the air smells like sunscreen and funnel cake, and somewhere close by, water is crashing down in sheets from a slide so tall it disappears into the clouds. Somewhere else, a lazy river drifts you past painted rocks and hidden waterfalls, like you floated straight into a storybook kingdom built entirely out of water. That's not a fantasy. That's a real Tuesday afternoon at some of the wildest, most magical water parks in the entire United States. These are places where grown adults suddenly remember what it feels like to be a kid again, where a single afternoon can feel like an entire adventure novel, and where every splash seems to whisper, just one more ride. Water parks have this strange, wonderful power that regular vacations don't quite have. There's no itinerary to follow, no museum to walk through quietly, no schedule pulling you from one attraction to the next. There's just water, gravity, laughter, and the sound of 100 strangers screaming with joy at the exact same moment. Today, we're counting down the 10 best water parks in America, the places that turn an ordinary summer day into something you'll be talking about for years. The kind of memory that gets brought up at family dinners a decade later with the same excitement as the day it happened. Grab your sunscreen because by the end of this list, you're going to want to book a trip immediately. Let's dive in. 10. Waterworld, Colorado. We're starting our journey in the shadow of the Rocky Mountains, just outside Denver, at a place called Waterworld. Picture this: snow-capped peaks in the distance, and right below them, a sprawling kingdom of slides, wave pools, and rivers that feels like it shouldn't exist in the same state as ski resorts. There's something almost magical about floating on your back, staring up at mountain silhouettes while completely surrounded by tropical-feeling pools and rushing water. Waterworld has been a Colorado tradition for generations, and it keeps reinventing itself, with new towering attractions rising higher every year, including a brand new summit-themed zone with the tallest lookout point in the entire park. Climb to the top of that lookout and the whole park spreads out beneath you like a kingdom map, slides curling like rivers drawn by hand, pools glittering like scattered jewels. Floating here feels like you've discovered a secret oasis tucked into the mountains, a splash of tropical magic in the middle of the high desert, and it's exactly the kind of contrast that makes this park unforgettable. Locals talk about it the way people talk about an old friend, someone who's always changing a little but somehow still feels exactly the same, and that mix of familiarity and surprise is precisely why it earns its place on this list. 9. Lost Island Water Park in Iowa. Next, we travel to the heartland, to a place that feels like it was pulled straight out of an explorer's fantasy journal. Lost Island Water Park in Iowa is themed around a mysterious, forgotten island with lush greenery, hidden lagoons, and slides that twist through jungle-like scenery as if you're racing through an ancient temple guarding buried treasure. Every path through the park feels intentional, like someone sat down and wrote an entire legend before laying a single brick, deciding exactly where a waterfall should crash or where a vine-covered archway should frame your walk to the next slide. It's proof that you don't need an ocean nearby to build something that feels like paradise. Families come from all over the Midwest just to lose themselves, quite literally, in the story this park tells with every turn, every splash, and every slide. And by the time the sun starts to set, it genuinely feels like you've spent the day inside someone else's adventure story instead of your own backyard state. There's a certain quiet pride in discovering a place like this, tucked away where you'd least expect it, proving that magic doesn't need a coastline to exist, just a good story and enough water to bring it to life. 8. Island H2O Water Park, Kissimmee, Florida. Number 8 takes us to Florida, where an island-inspired escape called Island H2O Water Park brings a castaway fantasy to life. Imagine washing ashore on a tropical island after a storm, surrounded by shipwrecks, waterfalls, and slides that wind through rocky cliffs like secret passageways carved by centuries of crashing waves. This park leans hard into storytelling, with intricately themed zones that make every corner feel like a new chapter in an adventure novel, complete with weathered wooden signs, tangled rope bridges, and hidden coves that beg to be explored before you even reach the next slide. It's the kind of place where kids stop asking what's next and start believing they've actually landed somewhere magical, somewhere far away from the real world entirely. Parents find themselves just as swept up in it, wandering from one themed corner to the next, half convinced they might spot a message in a bottle floating past in the lazy river. Even the changing rooms and snack stands stay in character, so the story never really breaks. And that kind of commitment to detail is exactly what separates a good water park from an unforgettable one.
7. Raging Waters, Los Angeles.
7th on our list is Raging Waters in San Dimas, California, a park that has been shaping the West Coast's idea of summer for decades. With towering speed slides that drop riders at heart-pounding angles and a wave pool that rolls in like the tide of a fantasy ocean, Raging Waters blends California sunshine with pure adrenaline in a way few other parks manage. Every ride here feels engineered for that split-second gasp right before the drop, that moment where your stomach seems to float somewhere above you while the rest of you rockets downward. There's something almost cinematic about this place, like you've wandered onto a movie set built entirely for chasing thrills, where every slide feels like its own miniature story with a twist ending you never see coming until you're airborne, weightless and grimming from ear to ear before you even hit the water below. Between rides, palm trees and manicured hillsides frame the whole park, giving it that unmistakable golden hour glow that makes every photo look like it belongs on a postcard nobody's ever seen before.
6. Aquatica, Orlando, Florida.
A park where the ordinary rules of a water park quietly disappear and something closer to an undersea fairy tale takes over. Aquatica blends colorful South Pacific and South American theming with actual marine life, including playful dolphins visible through glass as you glide past on a lazy river, their shapes drifting alongside you like curious companions accompanying you on your journey. Bright coral-colored buildings, tropical birds calling from hidden perches, and slides that launch you through habitats filled with exotic fish make this feel less like a park and more like an enchanted lagoon plucked from a legend about a hidden underwater kingdom. Even the pathways between rides are designed to feel like a story, winding through gardens and waterfalls until you almost forget you're technically standing in a parking lot in Central Florida rather than some far-off tropical shoreline. It's a place that rewards slowing down, taking the long way to a slide just to see one more colorful courtyard, one more waterfall tumbling past painted stone.
5. Splashing Safari at Holiday World, Indiana.
5th on our countdown is Splashin' Safari, the water park half of Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana, a name that already sounds like it belongs in a fairy tale before you've even seen a single slide. This park has earned a reputation for genuinely groundbreaking rides, including record-setting water coasters that send you soaring uphill against gravity itself, like some invisible magic is physically pulling you forward through twisting tunnels and sudden bursts of daylight. With unlimited free soft drinks scattered throughout the park and a safari-inspired theme woven to every slide, from carved wooden totems to jungle green water channels, Splashin' Safari feels like stepping into a storybook expedition where every path leads to a new, breathtaking discovery. It's the kind of park where you start the day chasing thrills and end it wondering how a town called Santa Claus built something this consistently magical. Even the smallest details like shaded rest areas and gentle splash zones for younger kids feel woven into the same story, making sure absolutely nobody is left out of the adventure.
4. Kalahari Resorts.
4th, we step indoors and somehow the fantasy only grows bigger. Kalahari Resorts, with locations spanning from Wisconsin Dells to Ohio, Texas, and Pennsylvania, have built entire African safari-themed worlds under massive glass domes, so the fun never stops, rain or shine, summer or snow. Walking into a Kalahari water park feels like discovering a hidden oasis in the middle of a desert expedition, complete with towering slides, wave pools, and lazy rivers all wrapped inside a resort that looks like it was built for explorers chasing a legend, right down to the carved animal statues and warm amber lighting that makes the whole space glow like sunset over the savannah. Step outside into a snowstorm in January, and step back into 80-degree tropical air. It's the kind of contrast that makes the magic feel even more real. It's proof that fantasy doesn't need sunshine, just imagination and enough water to fill an entire kingdom. Families return year after year, treating it less like a vacation spot and more like a second home they get to rediscover every single visit, no matter the season outside those glass walls.
3. Volcano Bay, Universal Orlando.
Third on our list is a park that genuinely feels like it was ripped from the pages of an ancient legend. Volcano Bay in Orlando is built around a colossal, fire-breathing volcano at its center, with water crashing dramatically down its sides into rivers, pools, and slides that wind around the base like ancient stone ruins reclaimed by nature over countless generations. There are no long, boring lines here either, thanks to a wearable technology system that lets you wander the island, grab a tropical drink, relax on the beach, or float the river while your turn is being held for you, like some invisible guardian spirit is watching over your entire visit and whispering your name the moment it's time. It's a park built for people who want their vacation to feel less like a schedule and more like a myth come to life, one where the volcano itself seems to be the storyteller, guiding you from one chapter to the next. At night, when the volcano glows with amber light against the darkening sky, the entire park feels less like an attraction and more like the setting of a legend passed down for generations.
2. Typhoon Lagoon, Walt Disney World.
Second place goes to Typhoon Lagoon in Florida, a park with one of the most imaginative backstories in the entire water park world. The legend goes that a fierce typhoon once swept through this tropical paradise, leaving behind a shipwrecked boat perched impossibly atop a mountain, its horn now triggering the massive wave pool below with a booming call that echoes across the entire park. Every detail here, from the storm-battered buildings to the surfable waves to the rope bridges swaying gently overhead, was designed to make you feel like you wandered into the aftermath of a beautiful, magical disaster, one that turned chaos into the most wondrous lagoon on Earth. Snorkel through a coral reef exhibit, ride a raft down rushing rapids, or simply float along and stare up at palm trees swaying against a bright Florida sky. Few places blend storytelling and splashing around quite this perfectly. Even the sound design plays a part, with wind chimes and gentle music drifting between the trees, making sure the whole experience feels wrapped in atmosphere from the moment you walk through the gates.
1. Noah's Ark Water Park, Wisconsin Dells.
And finally, our number one pick, the largest outdoor water park in the entire country, Noah's Ark Water Park in Wisconsin Dells, the self-proclaimed water park capital of the world. Spanning around 70 acres and packed with more than 50 slides and attractions, Noah's Ark feels less like a single park and more like an entire kingdom devoted to water, sunshine, and pure joy. From record-setting water coasters that twist and launch like something out of an adventure legend, to gentle, lazy rivers perfect for floating away into daydreams beneath tall, shady trees, this park has spent decades perfecting the art of turning an ordinary summer day into an unforgettable one. There's a genuine sense of scale here that's hard to describe until you've felt it yourself. An entire horizon filled with towers, tunnels, and splashing color, as if an entire fairy tale village decided to build itself entirely out of water. Open every summer since 1979, it has become a rite of passage for families across the Midwest. And once you spent a full day wandering its endless pathways of water and wonder, it's easy to understand exactly why it earns the top spot. Generations of the same families have grown up here, first as toddlers in the splash zones, then as teenagers chasing the biggest coasters, and eventually bringing their own kids back to start the story all over again, which might be the most magical part of all. And there you have it, the 10 best water parks in America, each one its own little kingdom of imagination, thrill, and pure summer magic. From mountain oases in Colorado to volcanic legends in Florida, from shipwrecked lagoons to indoor savannas glowing under glass domes, these parks prove that a splash of creativity can turn simple water and sunshine into something that feels genuinely enchanted. If you could teleport to any one of these right now, which one would you choose first? A mountain oasis, an indoor safari, or a volcano that seems to glow with its own heartbeat? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to know which kingdom calls to you the most, and whether you've already been lucky enough to visit one of these places yourself. And if this video gave you serious summer vacation dreams, hit that subscribe button, because next time we're diving into the most magical theme parks in the world, the ones that make you believe in fairy tales all over again, roller coasters, castles, and all. See you in the next adventure, and until then, keep chasing that next great splash.